What's up, guys? Welcome to Teach Go High Level. My name is Eric. Today, we're talking all about calendars. Now, I don't know about you, but I like to live an organized life. It's okay if it's not for you, but using the calendar section of Go High Level is a really incredible way to stay organized, especially if you're in sales or if you have appointments that you book for service. Let's say you're a hair salon and you're using Go High Level. You can schedule all your appointments on here. In another video, I'm going to show you how you can create a service menu where they could actually select the services that they want. There's a lot of power in here, so we're going to break this down into multiple videos, starting with settings and setup, then a general overview, and then we're going to dive into the different sections and some of the things that can happen. Okay, this is super powerful. All of these components, you can use some of them, you can use all of them, you can just use one thing. You don't have to use everything in Go High Level. Again, remember my analogy, this is a box of Legos. Use what you want, leave the rest in the box. If you need it later, it's there for you. So I'm gonna dive in here. If you take a look at my screen, when you click on calendars here on the left, this is the first thing that you're gonna see. There's not a whole lot up here, all right? But there's a lot of things hidden away and things that have to happen first. So I'm gonna first orient you to kind of everything that's on the screen, okay? So this, by default, is going to show you a week view. You can also go to the day or look at the month, all right? If you want to scroll between, you just go forward, you go back, and it's going to start to show your appointments right here. If you want to look at your appointments and your block slots, or only your block slots, because it integrates with your calendar, which we'll get into in a minute, that's how you would do that. I prefer to leave it on the all view and look at my calendar for the day. And the new button is so you can book an appointment manually. There's auto booking, there's booking pages, there's all sorts of things, but if you're on the phone with the customer and you want to book a follow-up appointment or something like that, you'd use this here. Next, we have a month view next to the week view. And you can then also, let's say you have multiple team members that take appointments, you can select either by the user, what their calendar looks like, depending on your permissions. Some of you watching this in your account, they may or may not have given you access to see that. So if you don't see what you're seeing on my screen, make sure you check with your account admin. Also, you can look by the type of calendar. So you may have a calendar that has multiple people that can take that appointment. So you'd want to look at that calendar and see, hey, how many appointments do I have for this? Thinking of an example, if you had a home service company that did service estimates, let's say you're a floor coating company, you know, those really nice floors that have all the flex in them. They look really beautiful, by the way, really, really beautiful. But something like that, where you may have multiple salespeople out doing that, but it's one type of appointment. You might want to see what your total booking is. And then if you wanted to break it down by rep, you could look at the individual rep's calendar, just toggling between here. So lots of cool stuff, but before we dig into that, we need to first connect our calendar, okay? You can access this two ways. You can do it through the settings menu, or you can go right here to calendar settings. Now, in calendar settings, it's gonna first show you a list of all the calendars you have, all right? These are just basic calendars. You can put them into groups, so like sales calendars, you could have like haircut, nails, depending on what your salon does. You could have consultations versus service, and those will present pages where they can select between them. Service menu, rooms, and equipment. This is something that we're going to cover in another video, but this is where you could like allocate equipment. Like if you're an equipment rental company, or maybe you're a party, you know, the big bouncy castles. Shout out to my Office fans here. If you remember the bouncy castle that Michael tried to jump onto or was going to jump onto, stuff like that. If you rent those, love those, by the way. They don't let adults in them, even when I rent it for my own kid's birthday, but whatever. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use the calendar section. But let's just pretend we're going to use it at the basic level, which is I need to have people book a calendar with me, and I need to make sure that I don't get double booked. Let's just go real basic, okay? In here, first thing we're going to do is we're in calendars, and we're going to create the calendars. But you'd think that that's the first step. I'm going to back you up, just learning, having done this hundreds of times. The very first thing we need to do is connect our Google Calendar as a user. So you have all your different staff members. You're going to go to Business Profile, My Staff, and in here, I'm going to log in as this person. So I'm going to just switch here, log in as, because I have that access. There I am. All right, so we're going to click on My Profile, and you're going to need to do this for each team member that's going to take appointments. For example, if you have a sales rep, they need a calendar. If you have a CSR that doesn't take appointments, they don't need to connect a calendar, okay? If maybe you assign a vehicle in your business to something to get scheduled. You could do that and set up like a Google Calendar for that. First thing you're going to do is you're going to scroll down past all this and you're going to go to calendars. All right. Now you can connect Google Calendar, your Outlook calendar, your iCloud calendar, or new and in beta is Calendly. So if you already have an existing Calendly, you could use that as well. Some people have been using that for a while. I will tell you, GoHighLevel fully can do the things that Calendly does, including taking payments. But if you want to keep it, totally fine. Your iCloud, for you diehard iPhone users, and then Outlook for your corporate types, and then Google for everybody else. All you're going to do is you're going to hit the connect button, and it will pull up, ask you to sign into Google. So it's going to take you here, and you're going to sign into Google. So it's going to ask you, these are all the things that it's going to do. Okay, perfect. We're going to hit allow. Now, if you have a Google My Business, it's going to take you to this screen. You don't have to. I'm just going to hit connect. We're going to cover hooking up your Google My Business in a later video, okay? All right, once that's done, I'm going to go back to my profile. And we're not quite done in this section yet. You can see it pulled in and linked with my calendar. But I have to decide, okay, I need to sync my existing calendar into GoHighLevel so it can see the other appointments that I have. And then where do I want to write appointments to? So I'm going to pick one of them. So let's say you have multiple calendars, one for appointments, different things like that. You can do that, or you can just use your overarching one, okay? I'm going to hit save, and it's going to take a second. Perfect. Now, let's say you wanted them to write to this calendar, but you had multiple that you wanted to have it look at, cool. I'm also going to factor in that one and that one. So it's going to look for conflicts on multiple calendars, but it's only going to write to one calendar, okay? So that's processing. Now we're ready to actually set up a calendar, okay? Now, we don't have to go all the way back out. This is the other place I was telling you you can access calendars. So right here in settings, I'm going to go calendars, and I'm going to create a new calendar. Now, let's take a second and talk about the different types of calendars that are available. So you can see on my screen here are the main 4, but there's also more types that you can add, okay? So personal booking, this is very simple, one-on-one with a team member. Round robin, this is where it's a type of call that multiple different people could take. And the person will book a time, and who's ever available at that time will get booked with the appointment. Let's say you're a teacher or a trainer. You could book a class where there's one host, you, and multiple people could attend. Or you could do a collective booking where there's like multiple hosts. This one's probably used the least. Most of you are going to be using personal booking. Later on in some specialized videos, we're going to go over service booking with the service menu and things like that. Same with an event calendar, all right? These are for meetups, hangouts, coffee, physical events. Maybe you're holding something for a soccer team and your centralized communication is through GoHighLevel. A lot of different options, okay? But that's an event calendar, so it's not going to bring in a Zoom link or anything like that, okay? So I'm going to pick personal booking. Now, I'm going to name my calendar. This is an administrative name for you, okay? We're going to say test calendar, and I'm going to pick the team member, so it's me. You can add a description that they're going to see, okay? So we are going to meet together and talk. See you soon. All right. And then I'm going to pick a slug or a URL for this. So this is like a link that you could send to people to book, just like with Calendly. So for this one, we're going to call it test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It helps if you make it similar to the name of the calendar. If it's taken, it will tell you. It also doesn't like spaces. So you can see test, it's already taken. Can't use it. All right. So we're going to go test. If you're trying to use someone's name, probably won't going to be able to do things like /Eric. I'm lucky enough to have gotten mine like that. You could also do some variations like Eric's, put an S at the end. You could put some variables in. So make sure you play around with it. And then what is the overall booking for this calendar? What times can people book between? So let's say you do coaching And your coaching calls are always in the afternoon. Doesn't matter. The morning is for yourself. Instead of you having to block every morning, maybe you want that time for yourself. We could come in here and say, okay, Monday through Friday, I am available 12. Let's see. Let's go PM. We're going to say AM. 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm available. And I'm going to find a slug that works. It won't let you advance. Now, I like to go into advanced settings because there's a lot more you can do, or you can hit confirm and it's set up. All right. If you're just kind of a generalist and you just need a functioning calendar, boom, you're done. But if you go into advanced settings, you can actually do a lot of really cool things. So I'm going to hit advanced settings. So this is where you could add a picture of your face or something like that. And then you have the name of your calendar here. Right? You could use merge tags if you need to from the account. So like the account name, the address, things like that. Again, your description's there. If you use a calendar group, remember I said you could make a group of calendars. You could put it in a group. Remember, organization is our friend, makes things easier to find later. Now, this is where you get to customize the invite title. This is what's actually going to show up on the person's calendar and on your calendar. So by default, it's going to put in the contact's name, but I'm also going to say, and Eric coaching call. Okay. So this is the name they're going to see on the calendar page, right? So like, make sure you're not titling these like meeting just for jerks that want to complain, because they're going to see that, right? But it's an administrative name, so you understand what you're getting to. This is what's going to show on the actual invite on their calendar. And then you have the team member. And now here you can actually customize the location. So there's actually a lot of different options. So custom is a custom meeting location. So if you have a branded Zoom link, you could put that in there. If you want Zoom to just create a link for you, you can do that. Check out our other video on how to connect your Zoom account. You can do Google Meet. I hooked up a Gmail address, so I could use Google Meet. Phone, like if I selected phone, I can either specify the location phone or my direct line. It could be at your office. You could put the address in there. You can even ask them. And, everybody's favorite, Microsoft Teams. Boo. Not a big Teams fan. If you're a Teams fan, I totally get it. You can also add another location. So you could have a phone in there and an address. Lots of different options for you there. Then you can also pick what color. I'm a big color coder on my schedule, so I can see what's personal, what's an external meeting, what's an internal meeting. I'm a big fan of that. But if you're not, it's fine. Not a big deal. You can make them all the same color. These correspond to the colors that are available in Google Calendar. When you're done that, you're going to go ahead and hit save. And if you notice on the left here, it's walking us through a series of steps. So now availability, again, we put our availability in there, but you can actually do a lot more with that. You can also have your calendar look busy for a certain percentage of the time. If you wanted to kind of like drive people, make it appear as though there's a limited amount of bookings, you could do that. You could make it a recurring meeting. Like say you're coaching someone once a month, you could make this a recurring meeting and they only ever have to book it once, okay? There's a couple of things. You have to specify how often you want it to repeat. So that's daily, weekly, monthly, or custom. And how many times in total. So if it's 6 months of working together, we would say monthly times to repeat 6. If the slot's unavailable, skip booking unavailable slots or book it anyways or book the next available slot. So let's say you have a dentist appointment on one of those days. You can specify what happens and where it would book it. Lastly, again, more power in the advanced settings. Again, you don't have to do it, but these really make your calendar appointments really efficient. So your meeting interval is what they're going to see on the calendar page, number one. So meeting interval would be like 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, based on your availability, okay? Then you can go with minutes or hours, all right? I'm going to stick with 30 minutes. Meeting duration, this is how long are you going to talk for, okay? You can also specify things for how soon before their desired meeting time they can book with you. So no more last minute bookings. You could say they got to book 2 days in advance so it won't surprise you and jump onto your calendar. Or you could make it up to an hour before, okay? And then the date range is how far out they can book their meeting. So you can set this for only a week. So they have to book it in the next week. Really effective sales tactic. Whereas this might be a long range thing. They have 60 days from which to pick from. Also, you can specify how many times this calendar can be booked in a day. Let's say it's a very specialized meeting that you only have enough brain capacity for once or twice a day. You could say, max a day, I only want to do 2 of these calls. And you could also say, well, I can take 3 people in the same slot. Actually, it's not a class booking, but you could take, let's say it's a demonstration, a demo call if you're a software person. You could increase this to maybe 3 people. They would all sign up individually. It's not like adding a guest. That's later. This is if John wants to book a call, Sally wants to book a call, and Susan wants to book a call, that time would show available for all 3 of them because you've said I can take up to 3 at once. Pre-buffer time and post-buffer time, if you need a little time to prepare for a call, it will block a certain amount of minutes beforehand. And if you need a little bit of time to decompress after the call, post-buffer time. Then we're going to hit save. And we're going to move on to the next step. Now, forms and payment. Forms and payment. Remember I said with Calendly, they take payments? Well, so does GoHighLevel. You can do that, okay? Now, by default, the form that they fill out when they're doing it, you're going to collect first name, last name, email, phone, and any notes that they may need to put in there. Like I'm meeting together to follow up on my profit and loss statement if you're an accountant. Totally fine. You can also make your own custom form if you wanted to gather some other information prior to the call. For example, if you're in sales, you may want to ask, what industry are you in? What's your gross revenue going to be this year, right? You want to it's a step for you to pre-qualify them before they get on the call with you, all right? And then it's going to say, what order do you want this to be in? So the first step will be they select their date and time. The second would be them filling out the form, but maybe we want them to fill out the form first. The reason being, we're going to capture their information first, even if they don't book a date and time with us. Well, sales hack for you there. But I'm going to leave it there. Pre-populate fields, sticky contacts. This can get a little bit out of control. Sticky contacts are really cool. What happens is there's a thing that goes into their browser that retains their information for your site. So it actually pre-fill the fields for them. But if you sometimes book on a screen for multiple people and sticky contacts is selected, it's going to actually pull in multiple people's information. It can get really haywire really quick. So for those of you that aren't really tech savvy, definitely stay away from this one. All right. It's easier for you to just enter the information than hopefully pull in, there's a lot of variables that can go wrong with this. All right. Then consent checkbox. You need to have this. I mean, you can turn it off, but with A2P and everything else going on in the world, they really need to consent for you to send them information prior to the call, especially with texting. If you're going to send up any sort of automation reminders to them that, hey, our call is coming up. Hey, our call is coming up. Here's the link if it's on Zoom. So I leave that. You can change the wording. Okay. Guest, remember earlier I said you can add a guest. So this can be if they want to bring a partner along or somebody else to the call, they can add that person's name and email, and they'll also get the invitation to the call. So sure, we're going to allow for them to add guests. Now, confirmation page. For those of you that are like our web editors and you like really nice looking pages, you can build your own funnel page to redirect them to after they book. Like, hey, thanks for booking a call. You could have a video from yourself on there saying, hey, I'm Eric. Thanks for booking our call. I look forward to meeting with you. Couple quick things I need you to do, and on and on and on. If you don't need that, it's totally fine. You can just use the default, and it's got some pre-canned message in there. And make sure you read this because like this one says by default, we'll contact you shortly to confirm your request. Well, that's really important because the next one right here, auto-confirm new calendar meetings. If you don't have that selected, this doesn't make sense, right? So I usually change that to, hey, thanks for your booking. If you need to change, you'll see it at the bottom of the email that we send out, something like that. Just make sure it fits. This really comes down to if you have a really good show up rate, like let's say that this is for just a business meeting, you're an accountant and you're going over the books with your client, they're going to show up more than likely. And if not, it's because they have a really valid excuse. But let's say you're in sales and your show up rate is like 30%. All right. And if you're not tracking that, really quick marketing hack. One of the best ways is to engage with them, deselect this, and it's going to create the appointment, but it's going to be new. And you have to confirm the appointment for it to write to your calendar. And that's one way that you can bring your show rate up. But it's going to really depend on what you need this calendar for. So I'll leave it up to you. Payment, if you need to accept payment for a meeting, All right, you would select that. I don't have a payment processor connected to this demo account, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But it's very simple. If you've connected your Stripe, Square, NMI, PayPal, which we cover in another video, how to hook those up, you can then accept payments and you just put in the price per booking. Okay. Almost done. We're almost to the end. Last is our notifications and additional options. So, how do you want to be notified about the appointment, and how should the contact be notified? So, when it's unconfirmed, confirmed, if someone cancels, reschedules, reminders for the call, and follow-up, you can decide where do you want to be notified, and same for them. Do you want email? Do you want it to be in the GoHighLevel app, say on your phone? You're going to go in and you're going to edit these like this. All right. So if you want to have emails go out to you and to them, you would enable email notifications. Yeah, I want it to go to the contact. I do want it to go to the guest, and I want it to go to a signed user as well. All right. And you can open these up and look at the template that it sends them. You can customize those if you want, or you can build this in automations too, which we cover in another video. Additional emails may be to like a VA as well, or someone else that needs to be on a call, a sales manager. There's all sorts of reasons why you might need to put that on there. Okay. When that's done, scroll all the way to the bottom. Make sure you hit save. Save. If there's a save button, make sure you hit it, because I have unfortunately been through the desert of despair when I've done all this awesome building and different things, and I refreshed the screen for some reason and boop, I forgot to hit save and it's all gone. So save button is your friend. All right. Gonna hit close. Going down here, this is where you can define, are they allowed to reschedule the meeting? Are they allowed to cancel the meeting? In the email that they get, there's little buttons to add to their calendar, reschedule, or cancel. If you want to allow them to reschedule, but maybe you want it to be like, hey, they have to do it before 4 hours before the meeting, and they can cancel within 4 hours of the meeting. Beyond that, it's stuck. Again, you can do that here. If you don't want to allow it, you're just going to unselect the box, just like that. All right. And then lastly, see how in the additional notes, this is what's tagged at the bottom of the emails to them. Since I took out rescheduling and cancellation, it pulled it out. But if I turn it back on, it's now right there. It puts it in. Need to make a change, reschedule, cancel. And it is a link that will go back to the calendar and it'll allow them to reschedule. Pretty cool, huh? The last thing is the customizations. Now, you can stop right here. I've already filled your brain with a ton of things. This is more for my artistically curated people. I'll put it that way. If you really want an aesthetic to your calendar, this is where you can really do a lot of customizations. Okay. There's 2 different widget styles that you can use. All right. And you can only customize the widget that you could embed in a page, all sorts of different things. If you use Neo, if you have brand colors you want to use, you could put those in here. You can even change the button text. Like you could change it from schedule meeting, lift off to meet, whatever. Be creative with it. You can display the calendar title if you want or not, the description or not if you want, and then the details if you want or not. And then you can preview the widget. But I'm going to stop there. Now we have a fully functioning calendar. All right. I'm going to hit save. It's going to take me back out here. Now, when that calendar is here, it is active. If you ever want to know the specifics of it, it's a personal calendar. It's active. That means people can use it to book and when you last updated it. If I put it in a group, that's going to show here as well. And you can filter by status, group, or type of calendar if you have a lot of calendars. Now, let's say you wanted to send this to somebody. All right. You can, here, these 3 dot ellipses are how you're going to modify this calendar if you need to. First, you can edit it. So it takes you right back into the screen we were in. You can duplicate it. So if you need to make the same type of calendar for multiple team members, that's what you're going to use. If you need to share this with somebody, so like I need to give them the link, I'm going to open it up. Here's my scheduling link. So the difference here between a scheduling link and a permanent link, this doesn't change. If you change the calendar name, that's going to change. One-time link, let's say you want to meet with someone, but you don't want to have them have access to constantly booking with you. You can have a one-time link that will only work one time for them. And then the last is an embed code. So if you wanted to put this calendar on your WordPress site, let's say, you would use this. The last few things you can see to do here with your calendar, if you started creating groups later, you can move it to a group. If you want to stop doing that type of call for a while, but you don't want to delete the calendar, you can just deactivate it. And this last feature is new. Some people have some weird bookings or something is done out of order. It just doesn't work right. Isn't that the most frustrating when you think everything's working fine and automated and boop, it broke. You can actually troubleshoot your calendar and figure out how something happened or how they were able to book. And you'll see how it's reading your calendar in relation to displaying its calendar. And it's going to pull up an interface that will show your block slots as well. So here I'm in troubleshooting view. You can see that these are unavailable, right? So you can see that these are unavailable on these dates. I can click any date and they show unavailable, right? And these ones are open. So that's a way you can troubleshoot it if you need to. And that's it for how to set up a calendar, how to orient yourself. This is just the beginning, okay? There's a lot that we can do with calendars, but it's really important that you understand, first of all, how to set up a calendar. Let me break it down for you in review. You need to connect your calendar, and then you need to decide, how am I going to set up my calendar? So your calendar type. In other videos, I'm going to show you some other calendar types that you can use. This is the most basic version, personal, one-to-one. In subsequent videos, you're going to see a lot of the boxes are the same. I'm only going to show you the differences between this one. So consider this the cardinal text of calendar setup. In the next video, we're going to go over the different types and we're going to go deeper into calendars. Till then, I hope you have fun setting up your GoHighLevel. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and have fun with it. And if you ever get stuck, have a drink of water, go for a walk, read a book, and come back to it because it's going to be here. It's not changing. It's only getting better. We'll see you on the next one.